This morning on Capitol Hill, a growing number of Senate Republicans are pushing to delay or cancel their August recess as they race to pass the Save America Act before the summer break. A group of senators led by Utah Senator Mike Lee now urging Majority Leader John Thune to bring the bill up for a vote. They want Thune to attach the measure to a broader stopgap funding bill that would have to be passed to avoid a government shutdown.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So President Trump and a group of Republican senators just stopped John Thune, the RINO leader in the Senate, from fleeing Washington for a 37-day vacation without passing the Save America Act, the same bill that will require voter ID and to show proof of citizenship. And this bill been sitting in the Senate for a very, very long time, which is why President Donald J. Trump made this Truth Social post where he said John Thune should not allow the U.S. Senate to leave town until it passes the Save America Act or terminate the filibuster, where Republicans can then quickly pass everything they ever dreamed of, including a full and deep-throated Save America Act. And those are some very interesting choice of words, deep-throated. But here we have President Trump. He was asked about this.
On the Senate, on the SAVE Act, why do you want the U.S. Senate to stay in town? Shouldn't they be out across the country campaigning?
What a stupid question.
Shouldn't they be out be campaigning, though?
What a stupid question. For Jennifer to ask such a stupid, she's a smart person. I knew her all the way back in the Iowa days when she said Trump's going to win. And boy, was she right. So listen, why do I want? The SAVE Act has to be done. They shouldn't leave town. I'm not going to stop them from doing it, but they should get the SAVE Act done. If they don't get it done, it's going to be a very bad thing for the party. And frankly, you know, if you look at it, the SAVE Act is going to be voted against by all Democrats, just so we know. We have some Republicans that I will not comment on, a few of them, probably 4, that we probably won't get the vote. I'd like to comment on them, but I have too much sense to do it. The Democrats are going to vote 100% against voter identification and proof of citizenship. 100%.
I agree with President Trump. We need to get the Save America Act passed. And this is something that should have been done a very long time ago. We're talking about yesterday, a week ago, months ago, because the House have passed the Save America Act about 5 times. And Senate Republicans, led by Senator John Thune, the RINO, is failing to get this bill across the finish line, which is why a lot of people, including politicians on Capitol Hill, along with Americans all throughout the country, they're growing increasingly frustrated with Senate Majority Leader Senator John Thune. He's not doing his job. And here we have President Trump calling out John Thune, telling him to do his job.
What's your relationship like with the Senate Majority Leader?
It's fine. He's got to get his job done. It's fun. I have a good relationship with John Thune. He's just got to get his job done. You got to get the Save America Act passed. Or better than that would be the filibuster. If you terminate the filibuster, everything happens. If you don't terminate the filibuster, only bad things will happen. If you don't terminate the filibuster, only bad things will happen.
Senator John Thune, the RINO, needs to do his job because this bill, the Save America Act, has been sitting in the Senate for a very long time, over 200 days, and still nothing. He's not doing his job. And quite frankly, I believe President Trump is being a little bit too nice with Senator John Thune. President Trump needs to come out and drop the hammer on this guy, because at this rate, the Save America Act isn't going to get passed with Senator John Thune leading the Senate, especially when you consider that the American people, they gave Republicans the House, the White House, and the Senate, and John Thune is the only individual standing in the way of giving the American people what they voted for. Because voter ID is supported by everyone. We're talking about Democrats, Republicans. We're talking about black, whites, browns, Asians. Everyone supports voter ID. And the reason why I think John Thune should be fired is because he's failing to pass the Save America Act. That's for one. And 2, he's giving us a whole bunch of excuses as to why he cannot pass that bill. And when confronted about it, John Thune said that President Trump should get on the phone and get the votes, which is quite interesting considering the fact that John Thune, he's the leader of the Senate, and he's telling the president to get on the phone to get the votes from the senators. I mean, I get it. President Trump is someone that likes to call around and likes to get stuff done. But at the end of the day, this is John Thune's job. This is what the people voted for. And here we have President Trump responding to that comment by John Thune. Watch this.
John Thune is suggesting that if the White House thinks that there are votes to pass the Save America Act, you should be picking up the phone.
Who are you with?
I'm with the Washington Examiner, sir. Could you be doing more to help that legislation pass?
Well, I do more. I got 3 congressmen, maybe 4, to settle, to send it to the Senate. We got the vote, as you know, in Congress. I got a call from Mike Johnson, who's fantastic. He's a fantastic speaker, one of the best I've ever seen, and I think he's going to go down as one of the best. He called. He said, we have problems with 3 or 4 people. Could you call them? I called them. Every one of them, after I called them, voted, and we got it passed up to the Senate. And I'd certainly be willing. I mean, he's got 4 or 5 people that are very difficult. A couple of them I put out of office, so I understand how it feels. I mean, they're doing the wrong thing. Look, who cannot approve voter ID?
Here's the thing. If John Thune cannot get the votes, this says a lot about his leadership. Maybe John Thune has no business of being the majority leader of the Senate, being the Republican leader. I think it's time for President Trump to actually drop the hammer on this guy. This guy has no business of being in the Senate right now because the Save America Act has been sitting there for months and nothing. And then he tried to flee on vacation for 37 days. And remember, back in Easter, John Thune did the same thing when the government was shut down. When the Save America Act just made it over to the Senate, John Thune left for recess without opening up the government or passing the Save America Act. And they're doing the same thing right now, which is why Mike Lee came out, and he's one of the senators that initiated this pause on this recess that John Thune, or vacation that John Thune was about to go on. And Mike Lee said, I hereby object to any effort to put the Senate into recess in August. He's talking to John Thune, at least until such time as the Senate has passed the Save America Act, and hereby request a roll call vote. And this move right here will literally prevent the Senate from going into recess, because basically how it works, you need unanimous consent for everyone to consent to go on recess. But that can be overturned some weird reason where you can just use a simple majority. But we have enough senators right now that object to going on recess, because here we have Rick Scott coming out as well and saying that they stand with Mike Lee. And here we have another senator as well, right? Ashley Moody, a Republican from Florida, and this is what she had to say. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Senator Ashley Moody. The American people have said time and time again, they want only Americans voting in American elections. Seems pretty simple. I, along with my colleagues, should stay in session and get this done. Let's pass the Save America Act.
Right now, there's enough Republican senators to prevent Majority Leader John Thune, the RINO, from fleeing Washington, because remember, we have Mike Lee, we have Rick Scott, and then we have Ashley Moody right here as well. And we also have another senator as well, Jim Banks, also opposing this recess. So John Thune, he doesn't have his majority to go on his little vacation or whatever.
There's a lot of frustration, Senator, with you and your fellow senators, quite frankly. Republicans are frustrated that their Republican senators aren't able to get voter ID, proof of citizenship, and some of the other parts of the Save America Act across the finish line. I want you to shoot it very straight with us. Is there a chance, is there a snowball's chance in hell that we get the Save America Act in any iteration through the Senate to the president?
Well, this is the 5th time the House has passed the Save America Act. I'm frustrated, too. The Senate should abandon the so-called traditions and the filibuster rules, nuke the filibuster, do whatever it takes to pass the Save America Act. I think the NDAA and the upcoming reconciliation package that the House is going to send over to the Senate are the best opportunities that we have to pass Save America Act requiring voter ID. The NDAA is very important for our troops and our military. And by the way, Democrats are blocking funding for our military at a time when we need to replenish our munitions stockpiles and support our military. So that's the perfect bill to put the Save America Act in. The Democrats are all against it. They don't want to support our military, and the Democrats Democrats don't want voter ID. So let's put every Republican on the record in support of it and pass it and save this country and head into the midterms with the best hand that we have to keep the majorities in the House and the Senate. I fear what will happen if we don't pass the Save America Act on Election Day in the midterm elections.
And that brings us to the end of this video. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below in regards to John Thune trying to flee Washington to go on vacation. Also, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I appreciate y'all.